Many years ago, in a peaceful Indian village surrounded by golden wheat fields, mango orchards, and narrow mud roads, there stood an ancient stone well. No one in the village knew who had built it. Some elders believed it was older than the village itself. Every morning before sunrise, women gathered around it with clay pots on their heads. Children laughed while chasing each other around its stone platform, and tired farmers rested there after long hours in the fields. The oldest man in the village, Hari Ram, often sat beneath the nearby banyan tree with his wooden stick resting across his knees. Whenever children gathered around him, he smiled and said, "This old well never speaks, yet it never forgets." Life is exactly the same. Every action you throw into the world returns to you one day. Most people smiled politely and continued with their work. Only a few truly listened. Among the villagers lived Raghuveer, the richest landlord for miles around. His house stood high above every other home, surrounded by thick brick walls and large iron gates. He owned fertile fields stretching as far as the eye could see, dozens of oxen, hundreds of sacks of grain, and a huge private pond that never ran dry. People respected his wealth, but they feared his heart. Raghuveer believed kindness was nothing more than foolishness. "If I help everyone," he often said, "people will become lazy. The world belongs only to those who think about themselves first." Not far from his mansion lived a poor farmer named Madhav. His house was small, built with mud walls, and a roof of dried straw that leaked every rainy season. His field was barely enough to feed his wife Sita and their young son Kishan. Yet despite having so little, Madhav possessed something that even the richest man in the village did not: a peaceful heart. Every morning before leaving for the fields, Madhav filled a large earthen pot with cool drinking water and placed it beside the old well. Anyone passing through the village could drink from it: travelers, children, old villagers, even thirsty animals. One morning, Sita smiled and asked, "We struggle every month to save enough water for ourselves. Why do you still fill this pot every single day?" Madhav tied his turban, lifted the pot, and gently replied, "If someone reaches our village thirsty and leaves thirsty, then this water has no value. Water and kindness exist only when they are shared." Sita looked at him with quiet admiration. She had heard these words many times, yet every time they touched her heart. One afternoon during the hottest days of summer, an exhausted traveler entered the village. His clothes were covered in dust. His lips had become dry from walking for days beneath the blazing sun. He first stopped outside Raghuveer's mansion. Joining his hands respectfully, he said, "Sir, may I have a little water?" Raghuveer looked down from his balcony. "Water isn't free," he replied coldly. "If you have money, you may drink. Otherwise, move on." The traveler quietly lowered his head and walked away without saying another word. A few minutes later, he reached the old well. There he found Madhav filling the clay pot. Without asking where the traveler had come from or whether he could pay, Madhav offered him fresh water, buttermilk, and 2 warm rotis wrapped in a clean cloth. The traveler ate slowly. When he finished, tears filled his eyes. "I have crossed many villages," he said softly, "but today I found humanity before I found food." Before leaving, he placed his hand on Madhav's shoulder and said, May your kindness return to you on the day you need it most." Madhav smiled. Helping another person is its own reward. From the balcony of his mansion, Raghuveer watched everything. He laughed loudly. "You'll die poor, Madhav. Kindness has never filled anyone's pockets." Madhav calmly looked toward the old well. "Maybe not," he replied, "but it fills something far more valuable." Raghuveer laughed again and walked away. The seasons changed. Harvest after harvest, Raghuveer's wealth continued to grow. His grain warehouses became larger. His walls became higher. His heart became harder. Madhav, however, remained the same. Whenever an old widow needed help harvesting her crop, Madhav was the first to arrive. Whenever someone's ox became sick, he spent hours helping them plow their field. Whenever a traveler entered the village, people pointed toward the old well and said, "If you're hungry or thirsty, find Madhav." Slowly, without realizing it, Madhav earned something that money could never buy: the trust of an entire village. Meanwhile, Raghuveer collected only wealth. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the fields and the sky turned orange, old Hariram watched both men from beneath the banyan tree. Looking toward the silent well, he whispered, "One man is filling his storehouse. The other is filling his destiny. Time always reveals which treasure is greater." Neither Raghuveer nor Madhav heard those words. But somewhere within the silence of that ancient well, life had already begun counting every choice they made. Days slowly turned into months. That year, the monsoon clouds came close to the village, but never stopped. The sky remained gray for weeks. The villagers waited with hope in their eyes. Every morning, they looked toward the horizon. Every evening they returned home disappointed. Soon the ponds dried up. The small river that flowed beside the village became nothing more than cracked earth. Even the ancient well began giving less water every day. Fear slowly entered every home. Farmers watched their crops wither under the scorching sun. Mothers worried about drinking water. Children cried from hunger. But inside Raghuveer's mansion, everything looked different. Years earlier, he had secretly built a huge underground reservoir beneath his land. It was still filled with enough water to last many months. When desperate villagers came asking for help, Raghuveer smiled coldly. "I'll give water, but nothing is free." Some families sold their jewelry. Some mortgaged their land. Others gave away their cattle just for a few pots of water. Those who had nothing returned home empty-handed. One afternoon, an old widow named Gauri Amma reached Raghuveer's gate. Her hands trembled as she folded them. "My grandson has had no water since yesterday. Please, just one pot." Raghuveer looked at her without emotion. "If I help you today, tomorrow, the whole village will stand outside my gate." The old woman quietly turned around. She didn't argue. She simply walked away with tears in her eyes. Not long after, she reached Madhav's small house. Madhav had only one earthen pot of drinking water left for his own family. Sita looked at him silently. She knew exactly what he was thinking. Without saying a word, she picked up the pot herself and placed it into Gauri Amma's hands. The old woman began crying. "You people have almost nothing, yet you gave me everything." Madhav smiled gently. "Tomorrow will take care of itself." That night, Madhav, Sita, and little Kishan slept thirsty. Days passed. The drought became worse than anyone had imagined. The village fields turned brown. Birds disappeared from the trees. Even the animals struggled to survive. Then one evening, everything changed. Dark clouds suddenly covered the sky. A powerful storm arrived from the distant hills. Lightning flashed across the horizon. Within minutes, heavy rain began pouring. The villagers danced with joy. Children ran outside laughing. But happiness lasted only a short time. The rain refused to stop. Hour after hour, the water continued rising. The dry earth could not absorb so much rain after months of drought. Before sunrise, a violent flood rushed toward the village. People screamed. Buffaloes broke free from their ropes. Mud houses collapsed one after another. The flood struck Raghuveer's estate first. Its powerful current smashed the walls, protecting his underground reservoir. His grain warehouses collapsed. Hundreds of sacks of wheat floated away. His cattle escaped into the floodwaters. Years of wealth disappeared before his eyes. Raghuveer stood helplessly. For the first time in his life, money could save nothing. On the other side of the village, Madhav's small house stood on slightly higher ground. The flood entered his courtyard but spared the house. Instead of protecting his belongings, Madhav rushed into the rising water. He rescued two frightened children trapped inside a broken hut. He carried an injured old man on his shoulders. Sita gathered frightened women and children inside their small home. Little Kishan distributed dry food to hungry children without being asked. By sunrise, nearly half the village had taken shelter inside Madhav's tiny house. No one had much, yet everyone shared whatever little remained. When the rain finally stopped, the village looked completely different. Broken walls, destroyed fields, scattered belongings. People sat silently, wondering how they would begin again. Without waiting for anyone, Madhav opened the last sack of grain stored inside his house. "It isn't enough for long," he said. "But today, no one will sleep hungry." His words touched every heart. One farmer brought rice. Another brought lentils. The village carpenter repaired broken roofs free of cost. The blacksmith fixed farming tools without charging anyone. Women cooked together in one large kitchen. Children carried food to elderly villagers. Within days, the entire village had become one family. Only one person sat alone beneath the banyan tree. Raghuveer. For the first time, he realized something painful. He had spent his whole life collecting wealth, but never collected people. No one hated him, yet no one truly knew him either. That evening, old Hariram slowly walked toward him and sat beside him in silence. After a long time, Raghuveer asked, "Why has life taken everything from me?" Hariram smiled gently. "It didn't take everything. It simply returned what you had given." Raghuveer looked confused. Hariram pointed toward the ancient well. For years, that well gave water to everyone, without asking who was rich or poor. That is why generations protected it. If the well had refused everyone, do you think anyone would have cared when it began drying up? Raghuveer lowered his head. For the first time in many years, his eyes filled with tears. He finally understood. Real wealth was never stored inside warehouses. It was stored inside people's hearts. The very next morning, Raghuveer made a decision that surprised the entire village. He sold the little gold he had managed to save. With that money, he repaired the old well. He built a large public rainwater tank beside it. He planted hundreds of neem and banyan trees across the village, so future generations would never face such suffering again. Many villagers doubted his intentions. Some believed he was pretending, but Raghuveer never argued. He simply continued serving others. Day after day, year after year, time passed. One summer, another drought struck nearby villages. This time, travelers, farmers, and families came to Madhav's village carrying empty pots. Before anyone could ask, Raghuveer himself stood beside the public water tank. With a smile, he filled every pot. "No one will leave this village thirsty," he said. Old Hariram watched quietly from beneath the banyan tree. A gentle smile appeared on his face. The ancient well stood exactly where it had always stood, silent, patient, watching another generation learn the truth. Because karma never shouts, it simply waits. And when the time is right, it returns every action to the hands that created it. The law of karma is like the water in an old well. Whatever you pour into it, kindness or selfishness, will one day return to you. Wealth can fill your house, but only compassion can fill your life. Karma is not a punishment, and it is not a reward. It is simply the reflection of the choices we make. The world eventually gives back exactly what we choose to give it. A heart that serves others never remains empty. Money can build walls, but only kindness builds relationships that stand strong through every storm.